and they got stolen. I was so sad. But with the money I got from the insurance of the bike, I bought all of that. So all in all, you know, not
All right,
not
got
too
it.
bad. And I didn't really use it that much. I just had the bike so I could just go around and ride. I didn't. I work at home, so I don't really have a need to go to work. But yeah, I was pretty sad. I still miss that freaking bike. It was pretty awesome. All
All
right,
right.
Isa,
Here's
ready.
another fun story.
Awesome.
Cool. Here we go. So let me close this out here. All right. So I'm trying to tell one from each book and see how many stories we can get through. All
Okay.
right. This now everything's set up. We won't have any more distractions. Here we go. This story is called The Appointment or Appointment. The Appointment is a spooky story about a teenage boy who has a frightening encounter with death. It is based on an ancient fable called The Appointment in Samara. One version was retold by W. Somerset Maugham. Another version appeared in Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. There was once a 16-year-old boy who got a summer job working on his grandfather's farm. One morning, his grandpappy sent him into town on an errand to buy some provisions. The boy drove the pickup truck into town and parked outside the market. As he was walking along the street, he was jostled by somebody in the crowd. When he turned around, he was shocked to see it was the Grim Reaper, Death. As he stood there in the marketplace, Death beckoned to him. The terrified boy jumped back and ran to the pickup truck and drove back to the farm as fast as he could. When he got there, white-faced and trembling, he told his grandfather what had happened. "Let me take the truck," he begged. "I'll go to the city and hide. Death will never be able to find me there. It's the only way I can avoid my fate." His grandfather told him he could have the truck, and the boy floored the accelerator and tore off at a high speed. After he left, the grandfather went into town looking for Death. Eventually, he found the Grim Reaper standing in the crowded marketplace. The grandfather walked right up to Death and asked, "Why did you frighten my grandson when you saw him this morning? He was just a boy, only 16 years of age. He's too young to die." "I'm sorry about that," said Death. "I did not mean to beckon to him. I was just startled. You see, I was very surprised to see him here in the marketplace. I have an appointment with him this afternoon in the city." The end.
Oh.
So
Short, but pretty scary.
I'm trying to tell as many stories as we can. So here's this picture. Do we see that?
Yeah, let me put it on the stage there.
I'd love to show the artwork that's a part of it.
The only problem with this screen is that it shows it very little, but
It's unfortunate. That's just the kind of
yeah.
what we've got with this. But we're going to continue because we've told 3 stories. There's still so many more. As many more as we can to fit in this period of time. Okay. Let's see our next story. Give me a second. I'm going to tell one of the more classic stories that people know from this collection. So here we go. Where is it? Oh, I'm going to tell another story first. This is one I love to tell. This one is it's like horror comedy. You'll see. This story is called Bloody Fingers. Bloody Fingers is a funny, scary story about a ghost that haunts a room on the 13th floor of the hotel. A man walked into a hotel late one night and asked for the room. The hotel manager told him the hotel was all booked up. We've got one room left, he said. It's on the 13th floor, but we don't rent that one because it's haunted. Oh, I'll take it, said the businessman. I don't believe in all that nonsense about ghosts. The man took the key and went up to the room to get some sleep. As soon as he turned off the lights and got into bed, he heard the closet door squeak open. A pale, ghostly figure emerged from the closet and staggered forth, its fingering dripping with blood. Bloody fingers, bloody fingers, it moaned. When the man laid on his eyes on the horrible sight, he grabbed his suitcase and ran out of that room, still wearing his pajamas, and left that hotel that very night. The next night, an old woman arrived at the hotel very late at night. The manager told her the same thing. We've got only one room left, but it's on the 13th floor, and we don't rent it because the room's haunted. Sunday, I've seen a lot in my day, she told him. Trust me, nothing could possibly bother me. As soon as she switched off the lights and got into bed, the closet doors creaked open and a ghastly figure stepped out. Its fingers were still dripping blood all over the floor. Bloody fingers, bloody fingers, it moaned. The old woman shrieked and ran as fast as her legs could carry her. A week later, a teenage boy arrived at the hotel very late. He also took the haunted room, despite the manager's warning. He paid for the room, got the key, and headed upstairs. After he unpacked, he took out his guitar and began to strum some tunes. Soon the closet door creaked open and the ghost appeared as it had before. Its fingers were bleeding, soaking the carpet with blood, and it was moaning, Bloody fingers, bloody fingers. The boy didn't pay any attention to the ghostly figure. He kept strumming at his guitar. The ghost kept moaning and its fingers kept bleeding. Bloody fingers, it moaned. Finally, the boy stopped playing the guitar. He looked straight at the hideous apparition. It said, Shut up and get yourself a Band-Aid.
The accent. I love the voices.
You do? You like
It
the
adds
accents I
so
do?
much. Yes, it adds so much.
Ugh. So
The
this story is
grandfather that was kind of like a southerner, and this
yes.
one, and this one that was. It reminded me of a song I play a lot, where you have a guy that during the breakdown, the guy goes like, "Marianne, get me another beer, and make sure it's cold this time, bitch." It's oh my. The
That's
voices
funny.
add so much. I can't do that many. I've been trying, but I can't do voices.
Well, I've done character acting. That's why I know how to do it cuz
Hmm.
that's one of my past lives. Did I share the thing? I don't know if I shared this picture.
Not yet.
All right, we're going to do that. Yeah, I always want to show the story. So there's our bloody
Hold on.
fingers.
Let me get a bandage.
Shut up and get yourself a Band-Aid. So now we'll go to our next story. This one's a classic. This one is called The Big Toe. Most people know this story. I'm going to try to tell the classics too before our time's over so people get the stories they remember.
All right.
All right, this one, The Big Toe. The Big Toe. One day a boy was digging in his garden when he saw a big toe sticking out of the ground. He tried to pick it up, but it was stuck. It wouldn't budge, so he pulled as hard as he could, and it came off in his hand. Then he heard something groan and scamper away. The boy took the big toe into the kitchen and showed it to his mom. That looks like a nice piece of meat, she said. I'll put it in soup and we'll have it for dinner. That night, at the dinner table, the boy's father scooped the big toe out of the soup and chopped it up into 3 pieces. The father, the mother, and the boy each ate a piece. Then they did the dishes, and when it got dark, they went to bed. The boy fell asleep almost at once, but in the middle of the night he was rudely awakened by a strange sound. He listened closely. It sounded like there was a voice coming from outside the window, and it was calling to him. Where is my big toe? It groaned. When the boy heard that, he got very scared, but he thought, he doesn't know where I am, and he'll never find me. Then he heard the voice once more, only now it was closer. Where is my big toe? It groaned. The boy pulled the blankets over his head and closed his eyes. I'll go to sleep, he thought. When I wake up, it'll be gone. But soon he heard the back door open, and again he heard the voice. Where is my big toe? It groaned. Then the boy heard footsteps move through the kitchen, into the dining room, into the living room, into the front hall. Then they slowly climbed the stairs. Closer and closer they came. Soon they were in the upstairs hall. Now they were outside his door. Where is my toe? The voice groaned. The boy watched in horror as his bedroom door opened, shaking with fear. He threw his bedclothes over his head and listened as the footsteps slowly moved through the dark towards his bed. Then they stopped. Where is my toe? The voice groaned. You've got it! So we are going to keep going because we're on. Okay, I should show the picture too. Yeah, let's do that quickly.
All right.
And then we'll continue. See, I can tell these stories quickly, and then we get more fun for our action.
More bang for your buck.
More bang for your buck. We're trying to tell as many stories as we can. All right, you got it? I just put it up there.
Yeah, there we go.
There's the picture, little boy. And we're going to continue. This one, the next story. Okay, this one's a fun one. This one's called Room for One More. We don't have a picture for this one, but that's fine. I'll just share this. I can share the screen of all the little pictures. All right. There was once a young woman who had just started a new job in a large office building. She was walking to work one day when a long black hearse drove by slowly next to her, matching her pace. This made her nervous, and she anxiously watched it out of the corner of her eye. The driver leaned out of the window and called to her in a deep, booming voice. Do you need a lift? She turned to look at him and got a terrible shock. The driver's face was incredibly hideous and deformed. His skin was a deathly pale, and one of his eyes noticeably higher than the other. The man pointed to the rear of the vehicle, which contained a coffin. Room for one more, he said, frightened by his bizarre appearance and unwelcome suggestion. She refused his offer of a lift. Profoundly disturbed, the woman ran down the street until she came to the office building where she worked. For the rest of the day, she could not stop thinking about the strange man in the hearse and was glad when work was finally over. The woman worked up on the 9th floor, and when the elevator came, it was almost completely full. She hesitated a moment before stepping in. "Are you sure you don't want to come in?" asked the familiar booming voice. "There's room for one more." The woman gasped. It was the hearse driver from this morning, eyeing her with his lop-sided, horrible gaze. Now thoroughly spooked, the woman backed away, stuttering, "I think I'll take the stairs." The hearse driver just stared at her as the door slid closed. The woman had only taken a few steps down the stairs when she heard a chorus of screams, followed by a deafening crash. She hurried down the stairs and discovered the elevator cable had broken and all the passengers aboard had plunged to a grisly death.
Hmm.
All right, let's keep
They
going.
they are they're kind of abrupt, so the ending catches you like off guard. I've been like, okay, is it over?
And then
It's
it's
interesting.
fun. It's fun, isn't
Yes.
it? All right. Here's a little bit of a slasher vibe for y'all. This one's called The Hook. One summer night, a teenage boy was going out on a date with his new girlfriend. He picked her up at her house and they drove out to the edge of the town. The park They parked the car in a secluded spot that was a well-known lover's lane. As they gazed out at the lights of the town, the boy put his arm around his girl and switched on the radio so they could listen to some romantic music. He leaned over, and the young couple began kissing and cuddling. Just as they were getting into the mood, the music suddenly stopped. A newsreader's voice came onto the radio. "This is an emergency announcement. Earlier tonight, a crazed murderer escaped from the state mental asylum. Police are warning citizens to be on their guard since the patient is considered armed and dangerous. The insane killer is nicknamed the Hook Man because he lost his right hand in an accident and it was replaced with a steel hook. Everyone in the area should be out on the lookout for a man fitting this description. If you see anything suspicious, you should report it to the police immediately." The girl became frightened and asked to be taken home. She knew that the state insane asylum wasn't far from Lover's Lane. She was also worried that the remote area where they were parked was a perfect spot for a deranged madman to lurk. The boy was feeling brave and assured his girlfriend that they were perfectly safe. He locked all the car doors. Then he tried to kiss her again. The girl became frantic and pushed away, insisting that they leave immediately. In a huff, the boy slammed the car into gear and spun its wheels as he pulled out of the parking place. On the way back to town, they both calmed down, but the girl still held on tightly to her boyfriend. When they pulled up to the girl's house, the boy got out of the car and walked around to open the door for his girlfriend. For a long time, he just stood there, staring at the door. At first, the girl couldn't figure out what was wrong, but she realized her door was still locked. She smiled and unlocked it. Still, the boy just stood there. The girl was puzzled and rolled down her window. Then she saw that the boy was staring down at the door handle. Slowly, she looked down herself and began to scream uncontrollably. There, hanging from the door handle, was a bloody stainless steel hook. Here, I'll share this one. This is kind of cool. It's not from the same thing, but I like this. I like this picture.
All right.
Here we go.
There we go.
All right, let's continue.
Yeah, okay. I think we can do one more.
One more story. Okay. All right, what should we end with? There's so many good stories. Let's see. I'm just trying to think.
Maybe we can talk. We can take the final moments to reflect upon a bit. After the dedications.
I want to tell one. This is a quick one. This is
All
the
right.
last one. This one's like a bit of like a song poem. You ready?
Okay.
This one is it's called The Slithery D. All right. The slithery D, he lives in the sea. He saw all the others, but he didn't see me. The slithery D, he came out of the sea. He chased all the others, but he didn't chase me. The slithery D, I hid in a tree. He caught all the others, but he couldn't catch me. The slithery D, he went back to the sea. He ate all the others, but he didn't eat me. The slithery D. Oh, where can he be? He ate all the others, but he'll never eat.
uh,
Was that a good thing to end on? That I think
yeah.
that was a quick one. And who do you dedicate all these stories to?
Hmm. It's a hard one. I think mostly to the people through history that have told stories. I think, and that goes to the question I want to ask you after. But who would you like to dedicate this to?
Oh, I shared the Slithery D picture.
Okay, there we go.
And I think I can still show you the room for one more. I don't know if I showed that picture. Let me show that one too. I'll do that quickly, and then I'll tell you. Room for one more. It's kind of a nice creepy picture here, and I'll share. Oh, you can see it. Great.
Yes.
Perfect. So I'll stop sharing, and I will tell you who I'm dedicating the story to. I am dedicating the story to um, you know, like adventures in the wilderness, adventurers who go to the wilderness. It could be campers, Boy Scouts, whoever, where they have a campfire and they tell little scary stories that
Mm,
they remember in their dreams. So
yeah.
sleep well, sleep tight. Don't let
And
the
the
story tell us
question I
tonight.
have
Yes.
is, do you think it's important the role of horror stories, or has been important the role of horror stories in society through like the ages?
I definitely think horror stories are important for the ages. We need scary stories because we have all kinds of emotions, and fear is one of them. It helps
Mm-hmm.
us keep safe. If we didn't have
Yes.
fear, we wouldn't be able to survive. So having these types of stories are great survival mechanisms because it helps us remember that, anything can happen in life. There could be any kind of wild, strange, bizarre thing that happens in life, and just being aware and you know, I think what it does is it keeps you conscious in your life, like what the choices you make. And I think that's a really important thing because sometimes we can just be sort of robotic and aimless and we're not really thinking about what we're doing. And then we end up falling in a manhole and whoop, slurp.
Yeah, and I've always seen them as kind of preparation for, like, when you face a really scary moment, which doesn't have to do with a ghost or a creature or something. You face a mundane scary situation. If you are sort of prepared, fear won't paralyze you, because it is real. I've seen people paralyzed by fear. And when you kind of train yourself in the same way that we train ourselves to feel love, to feel happiness, also being trained to not be affected by fear, to not be paralyzed by fear, I think is a very important thing. And I've always liked, I like horror, I like the psychological thriller, I like more of the slasher style horror movies kind of thing. I've always enjoyed it. It is fun to me, but again, I'm pretty dark in my sense of humor and my view of some stuff. So yeah, I think they do have their place in all of society.
It's important. And I think you're right. There are mundane things that can be really terrifying, like not being
Yes.
able to pay the bills and not having the money to pay the bills. That's a pretty scary
Mhm.
situation, you know? Um,
Yeah, or a gun to your face, or I don't know. Sometimes things, people who are supposed to look after you, like I don't know, the police, those can be pretty scary too.
well, when they hurt you, because humans can be the greatest kind of monsters. People that we're familiar and know can be the most scariest things, you know? I think that the most scary stories that even here, it's people, people who take on a different kind of form than we're
Mm.
used to. That's the scariest
Oh,
story.
Mark is adding to the show. He says, when camping, while I sleep in my tent, I was woken up by heavy footsteps getting slowly nearer and nearer until it was right outside. I could hear it breathing, shuffling. Then, oh, Mark, come on, give me the second part. I'm dying here. But thank you for participating on the show. We'll give it just a second until Mark finishes typing up the second part, and then we'll be on our way. On the meantime, me remind you, do the social thing is like, share, subscribe, send this to a friend, send this to your significant other, go to the corner of your house, like on the street, and yell, subscribe to Matters Now! And that way you can help us share the love for the message. And Mark gave us the last part of the story.
I can read
It
it.
gave. Go
You want
ahead.
me to?
Yes.
I'll finish it off for you.
Sure.
It gave this unearthly sound. My body shook. It was a male red deer giving its mating call.
Sometimes if it catches you off guard, something can really scare you. I've been. Have you ever happened to you that you're very concentrated? I don't know, like reading a book or something, and you're with someone in your house, and you're very concentrated, and someone comes and touches you, and you're like, ah!
Yeah,
Uh,
totally.
it it used to happen to me when I lived with my ex girlfriend. I used to, when she had a meeting or something, I used to produce in make my music in my headphones. And with these headphones, you can they're kind of they isolate you. You can't really hear the outside. And I was producing, and she would come touch me to tell me that she was done with the meeting, that I could just put on my speakerphones. And every time I got like, oh, it's like, she was like, hey, don't you hear me coming towards you? And it's like, no, like, dude, don't do that. I'm going to spit out my heart one day. All right, next show, we're going to talk about the curse of the years of Peter. It's a very interesting story from the beginning of Christianity until modern times. We're going to take a look at uh, popes and the years in which they um, were in their position as popes. It's a very interesting story. So we're going to talk about that. Isa, it's always a pleasure. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, everyone in the audience. We have a bunch more content coming up, so stay tuned to Matters Now. I have my first Flat Earth debate on Saturday. I'm really excited to finally get a chance to have like an actual formal Flat Earth debate. I've had many conversations. We've done many shows on the Flat Earth, but this is the first time that I do the formal debate thing. So I'm pretty excited for that. I'm going to wreck some flurf, and it's going to be awesome. So thank you everyone for being here. We'll catch you on the next show. Take care and have a good night.